Hi, sweeties. How are you doing? Welcome to Naya Sim, and thank you all so much for all the love and support. Hope you are doing great. So, Juneteenth has come and gone, and that same day, a lot of people also came up with their drama. You all already know how they always come up with drama anytime Black people got something to celebrate. All the time during Black History Month, there is always a drama asking why is it that it's only Black History Month? Why is it that they do not have their own month, right? And the truth is that they really, color people really need to, to reflect on their resistance to Black freedom because this has always something they do. The truth is that they really do not want Black history. So they do not want Black freedom because how do you not want somebody's freedom and the celebration of emancipation? Because that is what Juneteenth is all about. Some people are out there saying that if you close up your office or something just because of this celebration, I am not going to patronize you and all that. And I am asking, why do you all stay mad and always want to be right to desist? I see a lot of people saying that I am a Black person, but I still had to work today. And I am asking why. I thought it's a national celebration or a national holiday. I see also a lot of Black people saying I do not celebrate that. Why? Because we are actually not free. Do I blame anybody? No, because it is true. Let's get into this.
Hey, cool kids, today is Juneteenth. And if you are not Black, I need you to reflect on white resistance to Black freedom. One more time. If you are not Black, I need you to reflect on white resistance to Black freedom because that, and not the celebration of emancipation, is why we have Juneteenth. Juneteenth was turned into a celebration by Black Texans. But the moment that we are celebrating today, that was because of white resistance to Black freedom. When General Granger got to Galveston, he had thousands of Union troops with him. Why? Because despite Robert E. Lee's surrender, despite the Emancipation Proclamation, which actually didn't free the slaves, but Texas did not surrender. In fact, because Texas was so big and more remote at the time, slave owners were actually fleeing, moving to Texas with their enslaved people because slavery was still good over there. The photos and videos that we see from the civil rights movement where the National Guard literally had to come and force integration, literally had to escort Black kids into school, that is what General Granger was doing in Galveston, Texas, to enforce the freedom of formerly enslaved people because the Confederacy continually resisted it. I've told y'all before about Rebecca Latimer, one of the worst racists that I have ever encountered. Her family was one of the most prominent slave-holding families in the state of Georgia. They enslaved people all throughout what is now known as Decatur. They were the last family in the state to release their enslaved people because they was like, no, the South will rise again in like 6 months. So yeah, if you're not Black, you need to reflect on just how much white resistance there is to Black freedom, much less Black equality. There are college-bound Black kids in Texas right now who might not get the scholarships that they earned because of anti-diversity laws. So.
What's up, everyone? I'm Coach D. Hey, listen, happy Juneteenth to everyone out there. And it is crazy that we're at a point in this country that people are mad that Juneteenth is a national holiday. Like, people are like, those people should be at work today. I want them to go to work today. I even saw a post where someone said, any business closed today, I'm never shopping there again. Imagine being so racist that your neighbor's been working their ass off and they got a day off and you're mad about it. Like, imagine your life sucking that much. And here's the thing. Most of the places you probably frequent, they're still open. Your coffee shop is still open. Your mall is still open. Your big box shopping warehouse is still open. But you're mad because people have a freaking day off. Like, wow. Stay mad. Stay mad. Stay racist. Cry harder. Your life sucks, and I'm going to enjoy mine. Happy Juneteenth. Period.
So before we all celebrate Juneteenth, here's a few quick reminders. It is not a generalized freedom day. We're not generally celebrating the freedom of all and the freedoms for all. But Juneteenth in and of itself is a celebration of the liberation of Black people in Texas. It is one of many freedom days. Freedom days being the days that Black folks celebrate the abolishment of slavery when our people received it at different times. Because unlike news now, news traveled way slower and was sometimes held up, but I'm not going to get into all that. The point is, Juneteenth is not a celebration of generic freedom. It is a very specific celebration that was conceptualized and celebrated in Texas that now we have adopted to commemorate the abolishment of slavery. We can't even call it the celebration of freedoms because there's still a lot of freedoms we are still fighting to have. And while we have witnessed the whitewashing of this holiday over the past few years, to now folks putting in their away messages that they're celebrating Juneteenth as a celebration of our collective freedoms when we weren't collectively considered chattel, realize the power of what Juneteenth says. For one, Juneteenth is a huge family holiday. The first thing that those folks did once they realized they were liberated was to go to a specific park to go and find their family members. They came back the following year after their liberation to celebrate that. Hence the beginnings of Juneteenth. It started off with family at the root. It is a true and quintessential celebration of independence and the most quintessential freedom holiday that we have. Because how can you be free if you're not free to operate in your own body? Juneteenth is a celebration of liberation, and it matters more and more these days. So please keep all that in mind. And to those directly impacted, happy Juneteenth.
Juneteenth is not a holiday that should be celebrated by anyone non-Black. My name is Brother Legend, and I'm here to raise your consciousness. Those of you that know already know, and I really don't have to say much. But the fact that Juneteenth is now a national holiday really gives me the heebie-jeebies. It just don't feel the same. It was much better when it was a holiday just celebrated by us for us. Don't nobody want the descendants and beneficiaries of the institution that enslaved their ancestors to tell them happy day of liberation. Juneteenth is not a celebration of Black liberation. Juneteenth is a celebration of how our ancestors survived and helped dismantle the institution of slavery. A lot of y'all have been taught to believe that Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves. And frankly, that cannot be further from the truth. Abraham Lincoln did not free anything. If it wasn't for the Haitian Revolution, the German Coast Uprising, and Nat Turner's Rebellion, Abraham Lincoln would not have been forced to make the symbolic gesture of signing a piece of paper to declare the slaves were quote-unquote freed. Juneteenth is a day we reflect on those that sacrificed their lives so that we could be here today. And now it is being co-opted by those same oppressors as a symbolic victory to say that we are no longer oppressed. The same way the Emancipation Proclamation was a symbolic victory to say America had changed its heart. Do not let Snow Biden get you turned around, y'all. Ashe to the ancestors, free the people, free the land, and Black power, y'all.
Look, I know Juneteenth is a new federal holiday, but some of you are already losing the plot, and that is not going to work. There are whole states whose teachers have their arms tied behind their back because they cannot teach the whole lead-up history to what even caused Juneteenth in the first place. Because there's already collective confusion about enslavement and American law and how that all ties together and how it affects today, we have to be really precise about why we celebrate what we celebrate. We have to remember that all states, not just America, states as nations, as government entities, they all tend over time to tell the story about themselves as the memory of the state and not the memory of the people. And that distinction, as we've talked about a million times, is really important because states don't remember individuals or groups or communities and how those people paid for what the state created or has. But when you teach the history of a people, you are remembering the agency, the imagination, and the power that those individuals fought for themselves to carve out a life for themselves or to have a future. What's already happening is people are framing Juneteenth as a celebration of when Black people, enslaved people, were given the news about their freedom, or they were given their freedom. I know not everyone's a history nerd, but we cannot be out here confusing the Emancipation Proclamation on January 1st with Juneteenth, which happened 2.5 years about later in June. I'm harping on this because people have taught or tend to see the Civil War as it ended and the traitors, the Confederacy, they agreed and went along with Reconstruction, with giving people back their rights. And that's why anytime you see Black people not ahead or suffering, it's their fault. Because look, we did the process, we did the war, we gave them all the rights, and now it's totally on you. That hides the way white supremacy and white supremacists economies and systems and social structures and traditions decided to hold on to power for as long as possible. That's why 2.5 years later, we've got General Granger reading the Emancipation Proclamation in Galveston. Juneteenth is less about the general being like, hey guys, you're free. And it's more him saying to Texas, to anybody who wants to keep holding on to their slaves and lying to them and pretending that they're not free, that you now have to follow the law and we're going to enforce it. Those 9 about black regiments marching down into Texas, they weren't there to just spread, tidings of good news and joy. They were there to tell white supremacists, stand down. Juneteenth is not just about one side and another side finding out what the new laws are and saying, hey, let's start enforcing this. This is about the United States government having to say, you guys are lawless human traffickers and you're insurrectionists and you need to cut it out. Christopher Wilson, who works at the Smithsonian's Museum of Natural History, he makes a point that this is not about news traveling slowly through Texas to the poor enslaved people. It's about power traveling slowly, the power to be free and the power to self-determine your own life. The news had been out. The news was still coming. People knew what was going on to some degree. Some people didn't know, but the news was out there. There was nothing stopping people technically from knowing the fact that they were free. But the power, the seizing of that power, the seizing of that freedom, that's what Juneteenth is about. This was news about how still enslaved people who'd been fed lies about the fact that the war was over or not over, and the fact that they were still in chains or still being forced to work the land and still being tortured or whatever, being told not only are you free, but now the power is coming into the state to enforce that freedom. But let's make another distinction here, because that kind of sounded like the federal government was going to come in and do all the work and make sure everyone is free. No, they were offering the enslaved people a chance. If they could get themselves out of rebellious slaveholding areas, that they would have a shot at being free and that they wouldn't be prosecuted for running away. We can never make this about white supremacy saying, okay, you win, or falling down and giving up, or the American people saying, let's pack up the tools of white supremacy because we lost the war, so now we can't do anything about it anymore. This whole following period of time was largely about black people having to say, what's our plan to get free? What's our plan to take back as much power as possible? And how do we make sure that the rebels that are still around us that will do anything in their power to keep us here, how are we going to get out of this situation? And as Mr. Wilson points out, this is a legacy that has continued today. When Brown v. Board happened, it wasn't the courts that ultimately ended up enforcing the desegregation. It was black people putting their bodies on the line. Morgan v. Virginia in 1946, he brings this up too. They desegregated the buses, but it wasn't until people, white people and black people, put themselves on those buses and protested that it actually desegregated. And yes, of course, the black troops marching in to spread the word of freedom, that's important, that's powerful. There are people who they truly didn't know. But so much of what followed afterwards were black people saying, all right, let's do something now with this freedom. They had to make it a social reality for themselves, because just because it was a legal reality didn't mean that the country and the culture was ready to back them. There is a reason people do not want to teach the story about what led up to Juneteenth, but will be like, oh yay, we'll put up some Juneteenth stuff, and it's about when black people found out they were free. Juneteenth connects people today to a legacy of people looking around and realizing they're going to seize the power that the federal government or other people are not going to give to them. It's about realizing the full strength and the deep roots of racism and how it still wasn't strong enough against black people's collective action. That's not really like a sweet watermelon cocktail holiday, is it? It's kind of scary. And no, people are not just now starting to celebrate Juneteenth because black people have to be in everything and black people are everywhere. It's one of those things that people were celebrating for a while in their hometowns, but they never talked openly about it because guess what? Lynchings were a thing, and people would come and attack black people who were celebrating the freedom that their government told them was in their right to have. Don't let anyone water it down for you. Happy Juneteenth.
The amount of white people that are so mad about this holiday, Juneteenth, is so ridiculous because you had plenty of time to give black people their fucking freedom, yet you refuse to do so. And don't be like, well, slavery ended in 1865. No, you had plenty of fucking time because you like to skip over segregation, Jim Crow, mass incarceration, and while black people were trying to enjoy their fucking time in the pool, you were throwing ass and enjoying your fucking freedom. As a matter of fact, there ain't one fucking time in this time period of this country that you didn't get to enjoy your freedom, but you got to enjoy the benefits of suppressing others. And to top it all off, those same white people are still alive today. Oh wait, you don't believe me? Then why the motherfucker, there's still black people still alive from the 1920s, from the Black Wall Street massacre, and yet they couldn't even get a fucking dime for reparations, yet Oklahoma gave $50 million to people who went through the Oklahoma City bombing in the 90s. Yeah, if you white in Oklahoma, you can definitely kiss black people's ass. So let them enjoy their holiday, because you get to enjoy every single fucking one. And stop including yourself in every motherfucking thing, because not everything is fucking about you. My name's Eric Stone. Doses.
So I was on this local news site here, and they had an article regarding Juneteenth. Now, myself personally, I don't celebrate holidays, okay? But they had an article on Juneteenth, and they had the Black Americans. They were downtown, and they had this little performance thing going on. And when reading the comments, I was just surprised or amazed at the number of racist comments. There was nothing positive written in the comment section. Everything was negative. They had something to say. White people are just upset about Juneteenth. So I have a question for the white folks. Why are you so angry? Just because the so-called Black Americans have a federal holiday, why are you angry? When Black Americans speak on reparations, anti-hate bills, white people go into a frenzy. Had nothing to do with me. Why do I have to pay? My ancestors didn't enslave you. You're not a slave today. And all these other. But when St. Patrick's Day comes around, we don't see those kind of comments in the comment section. They'll have their green beer. They do what they do. And then you'll have Black Americans that would even support their holidays. But you don't see racist comments in the comment section. And when it comes to St. Patrick's, who is St. Patrick? There's a lot of white folks that were saying that Black Americans don't know what Juneteenth is. You're ignorant. You need to go educate yourself. And it's not on an, it's not, what was that they said? 19th, June 19th day or whatever they said, man. Just a lot of crazy stuff in this comment section. And my thought was, do you know who St. Patrick is? Because I've read the Bible and the Torah cover to cover, and I've never seen a saint called Patrick in the Bible nor the Torah. So who is St. Patrick, and what makes you think he's a saint? But yet you don't see no one questioning that. When St. Patrick's Day come around, they have the St. Patrick's Day parade, and you have Black Americans down there supporting everyone else's holiday. But yet when Juneteenth rolls around, they even put the LGBTQ community in the same month as Juneteenth. Just like when the illegal immigrants come here, and this is going off on a different tangent, when they come here, they put them right in the Black neighborhood. See, so why can't Black Americans have a federal holiday? I think Black Americans should be paid reparations. And reparations would not really necessarily be because of slavery. It would be because of the damage that was done. And you can never repair that damage. Black Americans are referred to as Black Americans because they have no identity. They have no culture, except for the culture that came out of slavery. Black Americans are actually a great people, because if you sit back and watch everything that came out of that culture in captivity, in spite of everything that was going on, and how Black Americans were lynched, they were murdered by police, they were drugged on pickup trucks. I remember this one Black female, and this is, I say, about maybe 7 years ago, and I could be off on the date, but this Black female was dating a white dude, and he set her on fire and drug her on the back of her on the back of his pickup truck. right? So there's a lot of cruel things that were done to black Americans. Your religion, their name, the average black Americans got their slave master's name. Don't know who they are. A lot of bywords, black Americans are known for bywords. I remember coming up, they were called colored, they were called Negro, and then Negro became something else, and Afro-Americans, and Black Americans, and African-American, all these bywords, but when it comes to who black Americans really are, they don't know. They don't know. A lot of black Americans are waking up to who they are, all right? And even then, you have whites that don't like that. They don't like when black-on-black businesses or black people support black businesses. They call them racist. Oh, you're racist, right? So why all the hate? You say that your ancestors never enslaved anyone, but why do you have so much hate towards the so-called black Americans? And the thing about it is, the same people that claim to dislike or hate black Americans are the same people that copy rap music, their dance, their fashion, everything regarding black American is known globally. People support it, right? But you hate black Americans. I saw on TikTok just recently a white dude on there trying to rap and patois. I guess, I don't know if he's really from Jamaica or whatever, but he's trying to sound like a black Jamaican, right? So what's up with all the hate? I want to know, why do you hate black Americans so much? And then you got foreigners come here, breaking into the country, sneaking in illegally, and then they got an opinion about black Americans. What's up with all the hate? I don't understand, right? So for you to emulate, to dress, to act like, to impersonate black Americans, and then you have so much hate for black Americans, where's all this hate coming from? Is it jealousy? Is it envy? Right? So I'm just curious, like, why can't black Americans have a federal holiday? Why can't black Americans support black-on-black businesses without being referred to as a racist? They support everybody else, but when they try to build their own communities, you have certain people that don't like that. They want black Americans to be on the bottom.
Happy Juneteenth, y'all. Today is a federal holiday in the United States of America celebrating the abolishment of slavery. June 19th, 1865 was supposed to be the last day in the United States of America that we had legalized slavery. Except for the 13th Amendment, the abolishment of slavery, except when punishment for a crime. Crime became the loophole to legalize slavery in the United States of America. Now, do we think it's a coincidence that our jails and prisons in this country are comprised of 38.8% of black inmates? Meanwhile, the black population in this country is only 13%, and the white population of jail inmates is 56.9%. Meanwhile, the overall population is about 60%. Slavery in this country wasn't abolished, it only evolved. It became more insidious. And it was estimated that 1 in 3 black males carry a convicted felon label, while 1 in 6 Hispanic males and 1 in 17 white males carry the same exact label. So remember, despite making up close to 5% of the global population, the United States of America has more than 20% of the world's prison population. And since 1970, the end of the civil rights movement, our incarcerated population has increased by 500%. 2 million people in jail and prison today, far outpacing population growth and crime in this country. When people ask what they can do to help marginalized communities in this country, one thing we can do is become educated on the criminal justice system, stand in solidarity, and work to dismantle these oppressive systems. As Nelson Mandela once famously said, you never truly know a nation until you've been inside its jails. Don't judge a nation based on how it treats its highest citizens. Judge a nation based on how it treats its lowest citizens. We as a country can and must do better.
You cannot celebrate Juneteenth and view people in the South as disposable. As a Black Southerner who has lived in the North, who went to school in the North, who's born and raised in Texas, I have seen so many people celebrate today without actually acknowledging the ways in which their anti-Blackness is deeply tied to the ways in which they view people in the South and people in Southern states as useless or a drain in general on the country. I know some of these people have said those things, and I've seen a continual lack of balance whenever it comes to acknowledging the ways in which Juneteenth is a liberatory holiday and how liberation has to actually be a large part of our daily lives. These two things are so necessary for one or the other because you can't celebrate the freedom of a people while actively believing that they as people are not valuable or a significant part of this. Black Southerners are Black. Black people that live in the South are Black. And Blackness is not inherently completely contradictory to being in a Southern state. And when you see people celebrating Juneteenth Day, a good question to ask is, how do they value the people that the holiday was created for? And are they centering any of those people, or are they just using it as another day to amplify their own personal propaganda for gain?
What in the world is Juneteenth? Let's talk about it. Maybe the most impactful day in America, largely unknown to most Americans. Juneteenth, based upon June 19, 1865, when enslaved people all over this country finally became free. See, most people celebrate July 4th as Independence Day, but independence in America was not independence for Black people because Black people were still slaves. In 1863, the Emancipation Proclamation, it was signed, legally granting freedom to enslaved people. However, many people in the South, Confederate states, were still not made aware of the Emancipation Proclamation. Remember, there was not social media. You could not tweet at people. You could not post on your Facebook page, "I'm free." No, no, no. Nearly 2,000 Union soldiers, they marched and made their way to the South, the westernmost Confederate state, Galveston, Texas. And June 19th, 1865 is when those 2,000 soldiers notified roughly those 250,000 enslaved people in Galveston, Texas, that they were officially made free. So while Juneteenth is a celebration for Black people in America, Juneteenth should be a commemoration for all people, because that is when we can honestly suggest.
So this is all I got from the stitches, and the truth is that I think we're still, how do I say that? I think we'll still, some people are finding it hard to still believe that in this very moment that they are still not going to let Black people, like, rest and all that. And some people already understood that they are not for us. They do not want us, and we will try as much as we can to create space so that they will not, we just don't want to encroach their space. We also do not want them to encroach our space. The reality is, I am just going to say the reality. Reality is that I opened my phone and I saw so many colored people not happy about Juneteenth, right? And I was like, why would you be so mad that you don't want other people to have a holiday? Because this is like a federal holiday, right? And so I was also able to see people saying that, especially saying that if I find maybe your store and all that closed for the day, I probably will never patronize you again. Like, why are you people having the holiday, and what is the holiday for, right? And I was like, so to this very moment, they are also finding it hard they are finding it hard that Black people got a national holiday. So, in other words, they do not deserve that holiday, right? And a lot of people were sharing their experiences. Some said, I do not celebrate Juneteenth. I got my reasons. So many people said that. Why? Because most of the things most of the things they fought for back then, they are still fighting for it to this very moment. And mind you, I am not saying that there is no progress yet. But if you check around, if you look around, you will find that most of the things they fought for back then are still, we are still running around looking for a way to dismantle the system, the brutality, the redlining, Jim Crow that is still on the ground, and all that. So I do not blame anybody for saying that they are not celebrating that. And also for the ones that are going around saying that if your office is shut down for the day, I will never patronize you. Like, why do Black people have to go on holiday? Why didn't that they do not deserve the holiday? The truth is that right deceased will always be right deceased. Why? Because that is just how they were built. And also, some people were able to share their experiences, how at work, when they were about to close up for the day, again, against Juneteenth, and they were told to enjoy themselves at home and the rest of it. And Black workers, like the Black workers, they were like, you should have left it at just a happy holiday or something, not go and enjoy yourself, because it's more like it's a memorial and all that remembrance, right, of how they were able to probably achieve some certain things at a particular period, something that took almost how many years after it was already passed. Just to tell you how horrible it has been, and it is till this very moment. And a lot of people also got different, like some people were like, why do, okay, like I got somebody on TikTok who also shared that it's really horrifying that as a Black person that he has to go to work today, and he is not finding it funny. But people have to probably stay back at work, probably to make ends meet or earn money and all that. But it is what it is. A lot of people are saying, why do colored people have to take off that day? That they should have filled the positions of Black people at work. Just a holiday for Black people. And I do not have any problem with that, because if some people could come online to complain that they did not get any day off as a Black person that is celebrating Juneteenth and the rest of it. But for those that are still wondering, why do they not like us? Why are they acting like why are they being this mean towards us and all that? I want you to know that I am not sure something they are mad, and they continue to stay mad. Why? Because they do not mean well. And you all know how people do not mean with how they react and how they act. But I thought that till this very moment, I remember last year, I mean, like, there is always drama every Juneteenth. I don't know why, but it's like every Juneteenth, you will see a drama caused by somebody, or somebody dropping a comment trying to let you know that you do not deserve Juneteenth, and there is no need making it a holiday, and that you do not deserve holiday because you are. I mean, it's really another crazy one, but then it is what it is. Let me know what you all think in the comment section. I'll see you all in my next video. Bye for now.